Yes, it seems even Toyota can make a controversial car. This is the weirdly named bZ4X, which is a joint development product with Subaru and its pretty much identical Soltara. It's controversial for two main reasons, I think. The first is it's fully electric. Toyota has so far stood at the back of the room while other car makers rush into building EVs. This is the first dedicated EV from Toyota in Australia, as in not a conversion of an existing petrol or hybrid model line. The second is the price. Two versions are available in Australia, including a two-wheel drive model from $66,000 or $74,900 for this all-wheel drive version. That means it competes in the premium midsize SUV class, above the RAV4 and alongside the Lexus NX, and more directly, Tesla Model Y and Hyundai Ioniq 5. Forgetting about these two subjects for a moment, it's a pretty decent package in my opinion. It's got that SUV coupe type of stance, which is on trend at the moment, and it's practical, easy to live with, and fairly spacious inside. This top spec model comes with these 20-inch 3-tone alloy wheels wearing 235/50 Bridgestone Alenza tyres. They look perfectly fitting for a Toyota. Inside, this takes on a completely different design direction to any other Toyota. You can see some bits and pieces that carry over, such as some buttons on the steering wheel and the starter button, but the overall design is very unique. The cloth trim sections on the dash are a nice touch, and even the way the main touchscreen cascades down to form the center console is refreshing and somewhat artistic. For a Toyota, there are lots of physical buttons, which is great in my opinion, with some level of luxury provided by the off-white upholstery and heated and ventilated front seats. Passenger space is good. It feels a bit bigger than a RAV4, but it's probably about the same. The roofline seems wider, but lower, so it feels more like a sedan than a traditional upright SUV. In the back, you've got heaps of legroom, including in the middle seat thanks to an almost flat floor. The carpets definitely feel more lush than what you'd typically see in a Toyota, almost Honda-like thickness. There's also plenty of USB ports and cup and bottle holders. Up at the back, the boot measures in at 410 litres for this all-wheel drive version, while the two-wheel drive model offers 421. It's a decent space with a flat loading space, although a RAV4 hybrid all-wheel drive offers 542 litres. And unlike some EV rivals, this doesn't offer extra space under the bonnet at the front. This top-spec model does come with a thumping JBL sound system though, with a fully sick subwoofer in the boot. There is a little bit of extra storage under the floor, but it also works as a dual-level floor. Power comes from a 71 kWh battery that feeds a pair of 80 kW electric motors, one front and one back. It's interesting that the two-wheel drive model uses a 150 kW front-mounted motor, as in the all-wheel drive model doesn't just add an extra motor. These motors actually offer different outputs. Total torque is rated at 337 Nm, which isn't that great for an EV. Now I know this car hasn't been getting the best reviews so far. I think the biggest drawback is the price. It just shouldn't be, $70,000+. It's a bit bigger than a RAV4, but it's, basically a RAV4. It's nothing special about it, but in saying that, there's nothing really bad about it. I actually like the interior. I like the cloth trim on the dash there. The cabin acoustics are quite nice. It's very quiet. There's no rattles or anything like that. Visibility is also great. It's got this low dashboard that just gives you this clear view, and it's got a little side window there, corner window, allowing you to see between the mirror and A-pillar. Visibility out the back is also pretty good. It is a kind of swooping coupe, so you do have pretty thick C-pillars in the corner there. In terms of the driving characteristics, look, it's definitely got heaps of response slow down because it's electric. You just put your foot down and it goes straight away. I find that it's got better pickup once you're going. So if you come to a dead stop, I'll just pull over here, and you floor it off the mark, it sort of just smoothly, but progressively takes off. Whereas once you're going and you apply some power, it picks up much more aggressively, I think, which is great for overtaking. So if you're out on the highway, something like that, and you're going 80 kilometers an hour and it goes up to 100 speed zone, then you can just apply some power and it just picks up really quickly. There is no power mode per se, but you do have an eco mode, which just makes the throttle response really weak. Well, not really weak, it still goes good, It just makes it more soft and gradual in terms of the throttle pickup to conserve the battery. And you've also got an X mode for off-roading. I don't know what the ground clearance of the Toyota is. I'll flash up the exact specs now, but I know the Subaru Solterra, which is exactly the same vehicle as this, offers 212 millimeters. I'm guessing this would offer the same, which is not too bad for a sort of crossover slash SUV. If you have a look underneath, there's nothing really hanging down, that's what's kind of good about an electric vehicle compared with a petrol vehicle, which, you know, has a big diff housing hanging down in the middle. This is just completely flat underneath. So you could potentially take this off-road and get, you know, a little bit further than you might get in a petrol or diesel SUV, depending on what you're stacking it up against. But the tyres on this are probably the first limitation. They're quite low profile, not really suited to off-road stuff as much as, you know, some of the other SUVs anyway. In terms of the handling, it does feel a little bit heavy. It is heavy. All electric vehicles are pretty heavy, but I don't think it's any more or less engaging than a RAV4. I think it feels pretty good. It feels predictable. You've just got that response from the throttle, which gives it a heightened level of excitement, I guess, in comparison to something like a RAV4. Yeah, like I could take this for a nice Sunday cruise or a Sunday drive along a mountain road like this and have a bit of fun. I do have some stuff in the back, that's what's rattling and making a bit of a noise, so apologies for that. Up this tighter section, back off the power, put it back on, back it off, apply some more. Yeah, it handles, I reckon it handles really good. It's it's a little bit soft for a sports SUV, but this is not a sports SUV. It's kind of just a mainstream model. Again, I don't think it's any more or less engaging or dynamic compared with something like a RAV4. I do kind of wish there was some sort of brake gen or regen engagement. You know, some EVs have paddle shifters where you can hit the pedal a couple of times and it will actually increase the regen. So when you're coming into a corner or something like that, you can tap it down and have a bit of braking. But in this, you back off and it kind of just shows there on the gauge. There's a little bit of regen happening, but not that much. The button down here does provide more regen during deceleration, but it's not like a one pedal mode. It just makes it more, it just provides more of that braking power. And then when you apply the brakes, it gives you the full charging capacity. Let's go out now and do the performance test and see what it goes like.